I'm here to ruffle a few feathers regarding the Sabarimala verdict, which has now opened doors for women. Now, some history regarding this: the temple does not encourage women disciples between the ages of 13 and up to 55. So, sorry, 10 to 55. So, they consider them as women of fertile age, and women of fertile age are not allowed in the Sabarimala temple. Now, this has been a practice that's been going on for centuries. And now the Supreme Court has squashed this rule and said, doesn't matter what the woman's age is, she is allowed to come to the temple and she is allowed to pray. Now, this has been considered as an amazing accomplishment for gender equality, women empowerment, and so on. How is this related to gender equality and women empowerment? I do not understand, but I'm not going to get into that because it's a religious matter. So, one of the judges who came out with this verdict is a woman, and she surprisingly, which according to many, said that the Supreme Court should not interfere in religious matters. And I agree with her on this. The reason is religion is a powerful identity for many people. And although I'm not a person who is very religious, I respect the fact that people do not put pressure on me to go to the temple or perform any ritual. Now, this is again showing how powerful religion is an identity to me, despite being a person who isn't religious. So, when the Supreme Court says, or they take away an age old religious practice, of course, that's going to get a lot of people very angry. For example, there are many practices in religion which, according to me, do not really make sense. For example, I know many of my friends who are non vegetarians, they do not consume meat on certain days. Now, if I were to implement a little bit of science in here and say that, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are merely arbitrary days we consider just so that we can understand the Earth's revolution around the sun. Now, if I were to go and say that and then say, how does it matter whether it's Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday? You can eat meat whenever you want. A lot of people are going to be upset with that because they consider some days in a year, some days in a week, you can't eat meat, and that's a religious practice that's been going on for many years. Like this, you see that when the Supreme Court is going to interfere in a religious matter, it is going to get a lot of people upset. There are lakhs of temples across India that encourage both genders. There are maybe a handful, I think I can count the number of temples on these two hands, which do not encourage women as the disciples. And that, according to me, is perfectly fine. A lot of things in religion do not make sense. I can go on for many examples to quote many aspects in religion which do not make sense. The only way religion can change is if people collectively say that, okay, let's go ahead and change this. You cannot have a government authority, you cannot have the judiciary try and interfere and say that, okay, this is how you need to pray, this is how you need to follow your customs. Consider this. The Ganesha Chaturthi festival is something that is predominantly celebrated by the people who worship Shiva, Parvati, and so on. Now, there are whole sections of Hindu communities who call themselves as Shaivites, and they worship Shiva and the people who are close to Shiva. So, Vaishnavites, that is my community, do not really pray to Subramanya, do not really pray to Ganesha or Shiva. But nonetheless, in my home, even though we're Vaishnavites, every year we celebrate Ganesha Chaturthi in a pretty grand manner. Now, this is a practice that has come over the years, and we've simply made it as a common thing. We don't really say that, we are Vaishnavites, we're not going to celebrate this. This is a change that has come from within us. And because it's a change that's come within us, that practice has tend to become acceptable. If the Supreme Court says to Vaishnavites, hey, you need to worship all the Hindu gods, it doesn't matter whether you're a follower of Vishnu or not, you need to pray to everyone. That is obviously going to get us upset. And like I said, religion is a powerful identity. And it's not okay for any authority to interfere and say that you need to pray like this, you need to do these things in your practice. To conclude my example, again, to show how collective change is what can bring changes in religion and not authorities. Every year, one of the largest animal sacrifices used to happen in Nepal. This year onwards, they have banned the whole animal sacrifice festival. Thousands and thousands of goats, buffaloes, chickens, everyone they have spared their lives, and are now considering that festival as more of compassion towards animals and and a festival of kindness more than anything else. Keeping this in mind, the whole country has brought in that revolution. And that's the sort of change you need to make in religion and not through the Supreme Court. So, again, thank you for listening to me. And I hope I've made my point across. And do share, like, and subscribe. Thank you, guys.